So game 3 of the NBA Finals is over, and the Milwaukee Bucks won that game. So we have to ask the question, did the Milwaukee Bucks win or did the Phoenix Suns lose? All that coming up in just a minute. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Suns and Bucks and ask the question, did the Bucks win or did the Suns lose? The NBA Finals seem like they're getting a little interesting, Jimmy. I'm not sure if you noticed, but we finally have a game that looked at first like it was worth. Well, actually, correction. It lasted about 1.5 quarters when it looked like it was worth something, and then it just disappeared from there. Where the Milwaukee Bucks decided to beat up on the Phoenix Suns. They won the game 120-100. Giannis Antetokounmpo went out there and did some magical things, scoring 41 with 13 boards. He is one of, I think, 6 players in NBA history to have back-to-back 40-10 games, leading up there with the LeBrons, the MJs, you know, all of your legends in the game. He ascended to that level, and he had one very interesting thing, too. He shot 13 for 17 from the free throw line. Yeah. So the counting thing that we're used to seeing that everyone on the road does, of course, the Milwaukee fans didn't do that. They hit him with the MVP chance. And I guess that got his adrenaline flowing and got him more confident because he made 13 of his 17 free throws. So as we look at the way this game went and ask the question around this is it fair or unfair to say that the Bucks are still alive in this series? Or did the Bucks win this game or did the Suns lose it?
I'll go with the second one. I would say that it is totally fair to say that the Bucks didn't so much win this game as the Suns lost this game.
Woo!
First and foremost, the Suns scored 118 points in the first 2 games. And in this game, they get held to 118 points fewer than what they had scored in the previous 2 games. So for that reason, I mean, that's an example of how it was just a perfect storm of everything the Bucks needed. What did they need? One, you needed to do something about Devin Booker. Well, he did something about himself. Shot 3 for 14 from the field, 10 points. Didn't even play in the fourth quarter. Wasn't injured. Monty just decided not to play him, which I'm somewhat curious about, but either way, he didn't play. DeAndre Ayton, he did not dominate the glass, especially the offensive glass, like he did in the first 2 games, and he got himself into foul trouble early in the fourth quarter, gone for the rest of the game. And then CP3, who has essentially been the second best player in this series behind Giannis, honestly, had been allowed to, as he has for much of the playoffs, dictate the pace and the flow of the game. So they said, not this time, you little a-hole. You are not going to dictate anything about this game. And he didn't, scoring 19 points, closer to his season average of 16 or 17, as opposed to just some of the ridiculous scoring numbers that he's impressively put up in these playoffs. So neutralizing their big 3, as well as getting the type of game that you got from Giannis, not even the 41 points, but going 13 of 17 from the free throw line, which shows you that the road crowd does get into his head and contribute to his poor shooting numbers from the free throw line. So when you get all that mixed together, then it's easy to see that the Bucks are going to blow out whoever it is, whether it's the Suns or anybody else. So the Bucks didn't win this game. The Suns lost this game. And to me, it even feels like, even though it's now 2-1, it doesn't even feel like the Bucks have a victory in this finals, because in order to me to have a true victory, you've got to beat the Suns when the Suns play a really good game and your game was just a little bit better. It still counts, obviously, in the win column. But
I don't think they're going to say that this doesn't count as a win.
So I contribute most of what happened in this game to the Suns losing, as opposed to the Bucks really taking it from them and winning.
Ooh, that's a very interesting take to hear, that you believe that the Bucks. Okay. Okay. I feel like the Bucks won this game more than the Suns lost this game. So I'm the opposite. I think it's more fair to say that the Bucks did win this game comparison to the Suns losing this game. Mainly because the Suns' game plan going into this game, it seems like, similarly to what other teams have done. And this was a complaint of Monty Williams. So going into, at the end of the game, Monty kind of basically said, I'm going to paraphrase it, that I don't want to really complain, but our team shot 16 free throws, and one of their guys shot 17. And that's his complaint. We also know who was the referee in that game, which is the key thing. Now, I'm going to say this about this. Okay. As much as we want to say about this guy that was reffing the game, which is Scott Foster, Chris Paul is 0-12 now. He was 0-11 going into this game. He's 0-12 when Scott Foster is refereeing the game. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. But it does feel like in this game, it was more so because they were in Milwaukee rather than in Phoenix. This is why I say that. I went through and looked at the fouls and the free throws shot between the games, first game 1, 2, and 3 or whatnot. So in game 1, Phoenix shot 26 free throws while the Bucks shot 16. Game 2, the Suns shot 14 free throws, but the Bucks shot 23. The Suns still won. And then in this game, the Suns shot 16 free throws and the Bucks shot 26.
Right.
So why am I bringing up how many free throws they're shot? So the game plan that it seemed like they were doing in this is that if Giannis goes to the paint, what do? You foul him. You do not let him shoot easy shots. You foul him. Hence why a lot of their players were ending up in foul trouble. Makes sense, right?
Yep.
It don't make sense when Giannis is making 13 of 17 from the free throw line, which to me means it doesn't make sense to have that game plan of fouling in Milwaukee. It's not going to work. Like there was one sequence, somebody tweeted this out and I started paying attention to it more because I was just more so just watching the game because the game was getting out of hand. But when Jay Crowder was defending Giannis, he was up on him at the mid-range. Why would you do that? That's not a good defensive play. Not to say Jay Crowder's not a good defensive player, but that's not a good defensive play. Mainly because if you take the advice from the Brooklyn Nets and the way they had things set up, Blake Griffin played defense on Giannis by not playing defense on him. He said, beat me with the mid-range. If you can beat me with the mid-range, you can win the game. Giannis wasn't able to. And it basically threw off Giannis's game to where he would try to drive, but Blake Griffin is known for taking charges. That's what Jay Crowder and them have to do in Milwaukee, especially if you expect for this discrepancy in free throws. So, Monty, I understand why you don't like the fact that they shot more free throws than you. They shot more free throws than you in game 2, and y'all still won.
You know what? I think this is actually Chris Paul's fault, this discrepancy in free throws. Here's the reason why. So, Chris Paul goes into this game knowing that his most hated rival outside of Rajon Rondo, we'll say.
Parmesan
Rondo is Scott Foster. So, he goes to his team, being the leader, the vocal leader that he is, and he says, all right, guys, like I know that Scott Foster hates me, therefore he's going to hate you. Don't rely on him to call anything. We're going to have to do this ourselves. So then what does the team do? They play less aggressively, because when you play aggressively, part of what you're doing is, if you don't get the shot, most likely in virtue of your aggression, you're going to get the foul call. Versus Scott Foster with Chris Paul on your team, you are not going to get that. So because they played less aggressively, they probably got fouled less, went to the line less, and that is, to me, a better explanation, or maybe the explanation that Monty Williams is looking for as to why there was this disparity. So it's really Chris Paul's fault.
I can see that. And looking at the disparity with this, Giannis shot 17 free throws. His team shot 26. That means anybody not named Giannis shot 9 free throws total. The foul discrepancy, 24 for the Suns, 18 for the Bucks. So it looks like foul-wise, they weren't that far off.
True.
That's only 6 fouls in comparison between the two. And if the game was closer, it might have actually been closer with the foul stuff. But that was the biggest thing. I didn't feel like Phoenix was attacking the rim as much as they normally do, besides Cam Johnson yamming all over PJ Tucker. I mean, he put him on his forehead.
When you say that, I really don't see Phoenix attacking the rim very much just in these playoffs. I mean, and why would you? If you've been successful and you've made it this far, you don't have to be like, even with DeAndre Ayton, I see him take more, I guess, whatever is in between going into the paint in the mid-range. I see him take a lot of 8-9 footers.
Yeah.
I see Chris Paul, he's a mid-range god along with being a point god, so he doesn't need to go in there. Devin Booker is a sharpshooter. He doesn't need to go in there either. Jay Crowder, he's the guy who's just sitting there waiting for the defense to play off of him or miss a switch or be late, and then he's open. And Mikal Bridges, I don't recall a single Mikal Bridges play in the last game, but that's beside the point.
Right.
So it doesn't seem like Phoenix, and I said this at the start of the series, Phoenix is more of a finesse team.
Yes.
The Bucks, they're more, because of Giannis, because the shape of your team is going to be built around your superstar. They tend to be more physical between Drew Holiday and occasionally Brook Lopez.
Yep.
So they really aren't a go to the paint team. If it's wide open, they're going to get there perfectly fine. But they're more of an outside shooting team,
and that's mainly because of age. I mean, if you look at this, Cameron Payne's 26, Cameron Johnson's 24, Mikal Bridges is 24, DeAndre Ayton is 22, Devin Booker's 24. I mean, your only 30-year-olds is Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and Torrey Craig.
A bunch of kids.
Exactly. Whereas on the flip side, with Milwaukee, you're looking at everyone is over the age of 26, except for Bobby Portis.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I think the longer this series goes on, the more it starts to favor Milwaukee because of that veteran experience, age.
Brook Lopez at 32, PJ Tucker's 35. Good Lord, I didn't realize he was 35 years old. Drew Holiday's 30. I mean, they have more age, so I think that I can agree with you on that. It may lean more towards them as far as the experience goes, and the young guys may be thrown off by the way the game is going. So, with that, looking at the free throw discrepancy, which is the biggest talk of everything with this, Giannis shoots 62.8% free throws at home. And he shoots 52% on the road in these playoffs. Mm-hmm. So to me, your game plan should not be to foul Giannis. And there was a picture that actually was circulating around too of Giannis's arms. Dude was literally clawed up. Like literally was webs all over his arms. Yeah. That tells you that those were fouls.
Yeah.
Y'all were hacking him. And I get everyone thinking that the league is soft. I need to do a video and talk about that. It ain't. The difference between back then and today is they don't want people to have concussions. Mm-hmm. It's not fun watching people get concussions. And at the same time, a lot of the players are so much bigger and stronger that if you don't tackle them, or they quote unquote flop, you'll never know they got fouled because their body is built to absorb a hit. Mm-hmm. So with Giannis, you can tell that he doesn't flop. He actually just flies through it. But with those webs on his arms and his body getting beat up, come on now, they're fouling. They have to.
So let me ask you this. So if you're Milwaukee, do you think that confidence-wise, they're riding high in the sense that not only did we beat the Suns, but we destroyed them? Or are they thinking, man, the Suns played a crappy game?
They're probably thinking that the Suns, A, played a crappy game, and B, they're young. Mm-hmm. We need to keep our foot on the gas with that. Mm-hmm. That's probably the mindset. It should be the mindset. And again, the Bucks are going to bail out Budenholzer in this one game. It's funny. Jeff Van Gundy said this during the game. He said that everyone talks down about Budenholzer and his adjustments and things of that nature, whatnot. Budenholzer's a great coach. All he does is win. And I laughed. I was like, isn't that kind of like the knock on you, Jeff Van Gundy, that you weren't that good at adjusting?
Mm-hmm. But that you didn't really win anything.
And that's why you didn't win anything at the end, is that people kind of pointed that part out. So he's defending his boy.
No, he's defending himself.
And exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's defending his boy and he's defending himself.
Yes.
Realizing that everybody's pointing out the one thing that he kind of wasn't that great at. But with Budenholzer, he is being saved by the veteran presence because Drew Holiday has been awful.
And you know what? With Monty Williams, too, doesn't he have the feel of a young coach as well? Because he had his first, correct me if I'm wrong, his first coaching job was the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
Is that right? And that was only for how long?
5 years.
He was there 5 years?
Yes. Monty was there for a while.
It didn't feel like it was 5 years.
It didn't. But he was there for a while. Mm-hmm. He had a nice long stint with them.
But he never made the playoffs until this year. So he's like a playoff young coach.
Yeah, he was 2010, 2015 is when he was the coach there. Uh-huh. And then he was an assistant in Oklahoma City, and then the unfortunate thing happened with his wife. Right. And we lost him. Yeah. Then he went to Philly for a year, and then he took over this job here. So, yeah, he had 5 years there.
Yeah, so there was that one. Didn't they go to the playoffs once with Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
No, that was Alvin Gentry.
That was Alvin Gentry. He did make the playoffs with Chris Paul.
Time, it couldn't have been 5 years if Alvin Gentry was the coach, right? When they had AD, wasn't Alvin Gentry the coach? Yeah.
Yes,
because
AD.
he's the one who played Zion in those meaningless preseason games and hurt his knee, which affected him throughout the season. Okay, so Monty Williams really is more of a young coach, or more of a young playoff coach.
He was coach of the New Orleans Hornets.
Okay.
That's how far back. 2010 to 2015 was what he was the head coach of the New Orleans Hornets / Pelicans. He was there for the rebrand or whatnot. And so, he technically is young. I mean, he was, he made it to the playoffs. He made it to the playoffs once. He was 2-8 in the playoffs, actually twice. So he actually had a decent playoff. I mean, he didn't get past first round. Right. So this is his first deep run. which I'm happy for him because he deserves.
Me too.
Let's see what happens in Game 4. Hopefully, we get some. Yeah,
2-2. Give us a series.
I need a series. I need to be a little bit closer too. The scores are kind of blowout-ish.
Right.
There was a question that was asked, and I think this will be a great one for us if this does extend past the next 2 games, which I think it should. I think we should probably have one more show before the finals is over.
Yes.
And I will make sure to mention this on that show. Is this the worst NBA finals ever? People have been asking that question because of the blowouts. Every game has not been close after the third quarter.
Mm-hmm. No.
We've got options.
For a later time. I got to think about that.